pressure coming out from V5 here with the Renata Glasc. Their ability to play around bot side is going to be super high. They pick away the Sejuani, which has been such a good flex pick from LNG, and we're going to have to see if they can try and body this Zeri and Lulu before they get rolling.
Yeah, they really need to find momentum in this matchup to make sure that the Kalista is going to be able to thrive. They've gone for the Sejuani as well because they feel kind of tied. This is a problem because they're banning Yuumi on blue side, they're banning Poppy and Wukong, and they don't want to give over the Sejuani, so they've had to first pick it. And still is obviously a flex, but not an ideal scenario, especially when Trundle has been picked to answer and steal those resists.
I think Tarzan's Trundle is something to be scared about, but I'm glad that we actually get the Kalista coming through here as well as the Renata for Photic ppgod, because something they have to stop is the bottom lane from getting ahead for LNG. We've seen 2 games in a row now with Light on either side of the matchup taking complete hold of that bottom lane with Lumao, and it comes down to a lot of these decisions for V5 in the second part of the draft.
Yeah, and we're going to have to see exactly what that is going to look like. Doinb looks like he's going to be eyeing up that Sylas, but at least you get counter pick here for Rookie. DZR is still open if Rookie wants to go back towards that. You've also got things like the Gnar, which I feel like we're kind of being set up here for V5. It does feel like Karsa is eyeing up to take that Sejuani into the jungle himself, and it's something we've seen from him in the past as well.
It is indeed.
Potentially looking at the Jax option. Really potent. This is something we've seen LNG lean on heavily, having like Jax, Sejuani. So you have someone who can dive in, proc that stun quite easily, and you can lean on the strength in the top lane. So we see there was like a bunch of top lane bans, right? We had Fiora, Kennen, Aatrox, and Renekton. And with those all off the cards, Rich feels confident taking this pick will allow him to flourish the top lane. And now, for that mid lane pick, I feel like the Azir makes a lot of sense, but we could see Rookie go in a different direction. Maybe the patented Orianna could come out.
That's the big one. I think Orianna would probably be the better one for me. I feel like when I'm looking at this, you want something that can at least give you pressure in the mid, but still be reasonably good. But we're going to get the Akali for Rookie instead. So this is a team from V5 that if it gets rolling, it gets going quick.
I feel like the big thing is we said, look, V5 didn't have lanes to play around. They were kind of inactive in the early game. They have gone for a composition where they are like absolutely pedal to the metal. We want to stomp, we want to get ahead, find momentum, and just set the pace of the game.
Because they want to find themselves in this series. I think that's so important that they are actually opting into this kind of concept. They need somebody to carry, and they've given themselves so many opportunities.
And this is where we need Karsa to step up. This is where we need him to be a focal point for V5. Get these lanes ahead. And this has been something that Karsa has not only struggled with in playoffs, but has actually struggled with in the regular season as well. It's the reason we saw Xiaolongbao stepping in over Karsa, because he could provide that early game assistance.
And the big thing to know is they got 2-0 down. If they lose again, they are out, and they haven't opted to sub in Xiaolongbao. They have kept with Karsa. They still think this is the winning strategy despite what's happened in the series. So it is really all on his shoulders here, because Tarzan has definitely had the edge so far.
And that's where you have to rely on that veterancy, the prowess that we've seen Karsa at his highs, and needing that to come through here in game number 3 as well. And I think especially like the way that Tarzan has been dictating the early jungle pathing, it's been really interesting to watch them go toe-to-toe, right? Last game, we saw the split map pretty much. Tarzan was completely focused on Karsa's top side of the map while Karsa was looking bot.
I feel like Tarzan is someone who will very effectively play around the states of his lane. If a lane has an advantage, he'll use that to try and apply some pressure, lean in the enemy jungle, look to pick up some camps, look to deny that. In this game, though, I feel like I want to see Karsa setting the pace of it. As much as you can't dual Trundle so effectively, your bot lane should be in a position of strength to be able to follow up on you, and your solo lanes are both melee champions to stack your passive up quickly for the strength of those skirmishes.
And we've seen Allah on the Gnar before. It is terrifying when he can get those big flanks that we've seen him already pull off twice in a row now, but as well as the World Championship matchup in the mid lane. Rookie versus Doinb, Akali versus Sylas. There is one game to decide who, if LNG, will go on to face RNG for the final LPL World spot. And if Rookie gets denied his lengthy season here, V5 need to pick it up.
So many of these players have made it to the world stage before. You have a world champion on both sides, an MSI champion in Karsa here as well for V5. The fact that one of these teams will not be going to Worlds says a lot about how competitive the LPL is this split, but it also says how much is on the line for both of these teams, especially V5 coming into this third game.
I think the crazy thing is, even if they win this series, they are not going to Worlds yet.
Yeah, exactly.
A win just puts them up against this team. I don't know if you hear them. They're called RNG. Happen to
But they
have won.
lost to EDG, though, right?
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
who are EDG as well?
Oh,
you know, I
who's
feel like
I've only heard of a team called Orangey. I don't really know.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I'm the American here. I gotta put a halt on that. All right, not this time around. But as we get into it here, we are getting the good graces to start us off, and it's especially looking more so a spotlight on V5, right? Like, you can put the spotlight on LNG. We've seen their early game do well, but we know V5 to be a team that when they can stabilize themselves in the early game, get to the mid to late game, that's where they thrive, but we haven't seen that just yet.
Well, they want to get the ball rolling early. Luma's going to walk straight into this.
Nope.
He sensed this. Spidey senses tingling for Luma.
They said it's 2 kills early for LNG in both games down the bottom lane. They're not going to fall for the redemption arc from V5.
Yeah, I am going to say is like, as much as LNG lost those games, it wasn't good that they fell behind early. If Photic and ppgod don't win this lane, and I don't just mean go even, I mean don't win this lane, it's kind of a disaster.
Yeah, because you don't have that same safety net as the Zeri matchup.
And that's why you're seeing Karsa starting this top side, right? 2 camps down, he wants to start clearing down towards this bottom side. Make sure he's in position to help out his bot lane if needed. But I'm looking at Tarzan. He's done a 3 camp clear, and he ain't going for his top side.
Oh, if he goes for a gank here, they've just used the handshake as well. Tools down and available. The pillar is so effective against Kalista. This could be disaster for V5.
They'll get spotted by the minions as he comes up. The frozen ground is there. The pillar beautifully. ppgod on the side. He has the exhaust. This is going to be first blood for LNG, and it goes to Tarzan.
Oh, just absolute disaster. Tarzan with a really intelligent path to find this angle. Photic and ppgod pushing up. They want to flex their power in this lane, and they even had their jungler pathing down to them. They felt like they'd ticked all the boxes, but Tarzan throws everything off kilter.
They knew that Light and Lumao had gone for the early help on the blue buff clear, so they were like, oh, well, Tarzan's got to be pathing topside, right? There's no way he's coming back here, but Tarzan goes for a 3 camp on that bottom side, immediately goes bot lane and finds the success that he needs. Yes, he will put himself behind in relation to Karsa, but that doesn't matter. This is all about the lanes getting ahead.
Yeah, you're a Trundle. You really don't care. Your job is to press R on Karsa in the late game, put your pillar down and soak damage, right? As long as you...
It's a tough life for the Trundle.
And yet he will commit himself to it. But yeah, getting any sort of disadvantage, and as well, the fact that ppgod's flash is down does mean that I feel like V5's bot lane has to be more respectful, because it is such a vulnerable champion, being this Renata, when you don't have your flash available, really easy to set up future gank windows when you're up against a Trundle, and the pillar can be such a frustration.
I will say, I think the only kind of silver lining to this is that Photic didn't have to burn his summoner spells in that one, right? So if you can get Karsa down here, Photic can still flash forward, try and follow up, try and get that damage down, but I feel like we need to get Karsa into this bot lane, but you're seeing Karsa now on the bottom side of the map as this wave is pushing in. He's not going to really be able to achieve much, even with Rookie having some push in mid. It's not like you can really go for a dive. It'll be spotted off that as well.
And he's just trying to find something for himself, even pinging down to the bottom side, maybe looking for a dive. It would be a nice little bit for V5 if they can get in here.
If this dive goes well, it could make all the difference. If it fails, I think that's just game over. I'm going to be real. He will just take the Grump for now, but...
Tarzan's coming around the side.
Yeah, he could be overextended.
Oh, Lumao's coming as well. Karsa, oh, he's stuck. He might be able to get over the wall here. Does have to flash. That'll be objective. Not there, at least in terms of the flash for Karsa.
But this is why I didn't want to see them go for that dive. Like, Tarzan was pathing back bot side. Karsa wasn't really in a position to dive. And yes, you've got the Renata, which does help out massively, especially with Photic, but you just can't commit that many resources, especially against the Lulu.
Yeah, and I love what they did there was they initially CC'd Karsa, and then Tarzan body blocked, so we had to flash. You couldn't just use the Arctic Assault to get over. So yeah, most summoners being baited, and it just makes it even harder for Karsa to go and commit to a play, because if you go too far forward and Tarzan turns up, he will just absolutely demolish you. You can see Doinb here, not going to go for any play here, but just helping him crash the wave, getting a good reset in.
What do you do if Tarzan just walks up to you and takes a chunk out of your arm? I don't know. He didn't get the flash or anything.
Sir, and walk away immediately.
I don't want to be here anymore.
With that guy. It's just, you don't mess with the Trundle at this early stage, especially with how well Tarzan has been doing, getting that early kill as well. And I got to say, Tarzan, this is why we've been looking at LNG. Tarzan has been phenomenal for LNG in these early stages throughout the year. And again, we're seeing him just pop off, keeping track of where Karsa is every step of the way.
And bear in mind, last time these two teams played, V5 knew that Tarzan was a threat. They were banning 3 junglers, and in this game, they end up banning the Wukong, they ban the Poppy, and they also first pick the Sejuani just as a denial, and he still gets a pick that he's popping off from. It feels like they've put so much of their draft resources into shutting him down, and it just hasn't really worked out.
It just always feels like Tarzan is playing 4D chess against his opponents. He's always able to find, even if he's waiting, if he's giving up some of those objectives or some of that CS like we were talking about, he still finds a way to get his laners ahead, to get influence from his lane. The duality of how LNG come together in these early game moments is super important.
But we can't look at some of the positives, though. Top lane is going pretty well for Rich into Ole. He's got a bit of a CS lead, and the Jax will become a bit of a problem later on in the game. Now, Rookie has access to his ultimate, so the Akali a lot more potent. You can see V5 using that confidence, trying to get some control in this river.
I do like the fact that V5 are trying to find this dragon before Rift Herald spawns as well. Make sure that there's no way that LNG can start trading around the map, making sure they can get both objectives, which is why we're seeing them play so aggressive and why LNG are trying to get this defense.
They are. V5 stepped up for just a moment, and there's the Glacial Prison coming through just to distract V5 a little bit. They were trying to press up to get this blue buff, but it's going to be contested because V5 are looking for the early game that we haven't seen from them in both games so far.
Yeah, and it's just a blue buff, but I love that they're using that early power to try and garner these advantages. The big thing for me, though, is going to be these neutral objectives. That's the main criticism we had in game 1 and 2, is the fact that LNG were just stacking dragons, getting easy access to Soul, which they got in both games. If V5 can come into a good position to contest Herald and pick up that first dragon, it'll make all the difference.
Rich deciding to go in. Yeah, he's got Tarzan coming up this way. Should be just fine. He has the flash, but it would be a summoner spell he doesn't want to have to burn. Does get the jump to the minion here, and flash finally comes out.
And you don't have to commit that much here as LNG, right? And it's right as this Baron ends up spawning, or sorry, the Rift Herald ends up spawning. So now you get pushing topside for Allah. He can move over. They can start this objective up if they'd like to. But look at where the minimap is. Photic and ppgod already got the reset, immediately moving towards that top side.
We'll see a little bit of trades back. Just Allah wanting to use the Gnar there. I can feel you. Get a little bit of aggression out there. But look at Photic and ppgod going to the top side. Do this Rift Herald.
And this is important because in the previous games, it's not like they wouldn't contest Rift Herald. It's just they're these really dodgy contests where, you know, they'd come too late or they wouldn't all be coordinated. Now they're saying, look, we want these early objectives. 5 members strong. Well, 4 with Rich resetting, but they've committed the resources.
So what you're saying is you wanted to see them do what LNG are doing right now, right? Where you leave Light and Loom out bot side. You get 2 plays for yourself, you trade it back, and you never really put yourself in a position where you actually just lose out on both sides.
Indecision is the biggest way to lose out when you're doing a Herald because, you know, if you commit to the other side of the map, and you look for the plates in return, then at least you're getting something. But so often teams won't make a committed decision, will be slow to contest, or just don't end up contesting but move their bot lane up. So at least LNG advance it back, but now they're looking to commit on this top side to try and get something more.
LNG know that Karsa is here. They know that they want to try and get that gold into Photic. So Tarzan, great job to read the situation. Same with Lumau, moving up towards this top side. And it's not like you can really do much if, say, Rookie tries to join in the play on top side. He doesn't have a huge amount of CC. He does have damage, but you need to make sure that you're able to lock up multiple members of LNG. So for the moment, V5 back away.
Yeah, we'll see them back off. They did not end up using the Rift Herald up there. We saw at least Rich trying to get some plates in bottom lane. Looks like they might have gotten a little bit for the Jackson. I do want to go back to kind of the compositional setup here as we're about to get into 10 minutes. We're about to get to first items. Looking at the top lane, the difference, I guess, in the team play style that Allah is going to be bringing to the table and that Rich is going to be bringing in the later parts of the game.
I feel like a big thing with the Jax is it's about getting onto the pivotal members, right? But also, like, even to things like the Trundle, you can be such a difficult target to deal with. But, like, the difference between how Jax is impacting a team fight is whether he can get onto the backline, whether he can get on the critical targets. But with, you know, the fact you have an Akali to dive with you, a Sejuani where you can just proc the passive, I feel like Light's going to have a tough time team fighting if Rich gets ahead, if he finds those good angles. And also, Rookie, bear in mind, this guy's 101 CS on this Akali. Look at that difference in farm between him and Doinb. And to be honest, Doinb hasn't really achieved much, right, with his time. It's not like he's been roaming all over, making plays. He's just losing lane.
Yeah, he's just stuck here with Rookie in the cage, and Rookie is just punching him down every now and then.
And it does feel like we're still waiting for that one big fight to blow this game open. Either a case of LNG, managing to get a bit of a gold lead for themselves, a bit of a buffer from how aggressive V5 are, or V5 finding that one fight that can snowball people like Photic, get a bunch of kills for Rookie, accelerate him to a point where he's such a threat that Light can't push forward in fights. This is what we're trying to see if V5 can look for, and at least the moment they are getting objectives. They're opening up that gold lead. You can see at the top of your screen, but it's nothing to write home about just yet.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a better look than the last 2 games, at least getting some objectives.
Hey, they got Fierce Dragon, they got Fierce Herald. That is enough for me, honestly. I feel like, considering how rough the previous 2 games are, if they can continue this momentum, fantastic. But really, I think the big thing is still where they're going to place the Herald. There's about a minute and a half left on it. They obviously did want to try and set up Photic to get that extra gold for him, but really, if you snowball Rookie anymore, he's just going to become impossible to deal with.
Rich is maybe in a little bit of trouble. Gnar ulti is not there, but flash is from Ala. One more auto attack, and there you go. We're just getting solo bolos all day long in top lane.
I mean, is it a solo bolo at this stage if it happens 3 times over the course of a series? Like, Genie Mac, this has not gone well at all for the V5 top side, and LNG, they just want to win everywhere right now.
Yeah, especially when you're picking this Jack specifically. We've seen this matchup taken time and time again because it's favored into the Gnar, right? You take the short trade with Grasp, use your empowered auto, use your ultimate with the passive of it to have that big bursty trade, but Rich just miscalculates and ends up going down.
Tarzan says, oh, that's not the person I want to see around the corner, as Karsa just getting a little bit of aggression into his own right, but it's looking at the connection now towards bottom lane, towards this Rift Herald for V5.
They're trying to see if they can get anything on the spot, so at least pushing Tarzan it will be nice. Doinb has to go for the reset and no TP, so numbers advantage for the moment for V5, which is why they're going to try and push this play forward. I don't know if you can really go for a dive, though, with the fact that Tarzan's still underneath this tower.
Oh, but actually the Pillars stole the Herald out, so they need to clear the wave quickly.
It's trying to make its way through there. You got this, Shelly. We'll see the Glacial Prison go a little bit wide there. They have the frozen ground. They have a little bit of damage. The turret plates go over to V5, so they at least get a successful charge.
Yeah, so they don't fully get the tower, and that's the thing is when you leave the Herald that late, it's so telegraphed. The second they saw Karsa, they knew where it was going to go down, but they still get the plates. They still get gold on the Photic, which is important, but now they're looking for Tarzan.
Oh, Tarzan does see them after the scanner, but it might be a little bit too late here. Light is right around the corner with the ultrasonic laser, and you know when the beam comes out, they run away.
But the problem is, Karsa had no ultimate, but also, when you dive in as a Sejuani, Tarzan ults you, and suddenly he just becomes immortal, and you can't continue to play. They will steal away this blue buff again, but not going to get too much more than that.
And that's where a lot of the lead is coming from, even albeit a small
blue
one,
buff,
right? It's the blue buff, man. I mean, they have constantly pressured Tarzan out of his own jungle, but as well as the lead in mid lane for Rookie.
It's leads across the board, right? Even though you've got the kill going over for Alan that top side, it's still a CS lead for Rich, CS lead bot, CS lead mid, and the turret plates going over as well. So you are still getting this gold lead opening up for V5. It's just a case of them trying to keep this pace going with the Dragon in 2 minutes, with the Rift out in 45 seconds.
You kind of seen Rich doing some work there. Now it's Sandra, but Photic.
Oh, he's stuck, but hey, it's going to be just fine, Photic. You'll be able to get out of that one. It was a bit of a precarious predicament there. Nothing going to come of it. We get back into the state of things here with Tarzan. Just trying to find a way back into this one. Has been pretty good at, matching Karsa in a lot of these games.
Yeah, it just feels like, again, this is LNG kind of going right. Well, in the last 2 games, we've been the one dictating the pace of the game. We're the ones that are going to go and look for plays and make sure that we're getting leads. This time around, it's Tarzan trying to see if he can match Karsa again, rather than trying to find these big advantages. And you're seeing how different the pace of the game is. V5, again, are finding leads from lanes, but it's not like they're blowing open this game massively. But I think the big difference is going to be Rift Tower, which is about to spawn. That's where V5 are going to try and make their next big play. Pick that one up.
God.
You can crack open mid-turret. ppgod.
He's in a little bit of trouble here against Tarzan. Does get out from the side of the pillar, though, trying to get back into the bottom lane to help out Photic to some extent, but Light and Lumao putting pressure on the tower here as ppgod just fighting against Tarzan. Rookie's coming down the Glacial Prison from Doinb, and there you go, fate sealed.
I was going to reel the exhaust from Lumao was so wasted there because, there's a fate sealed. You're never going to kill ppgod. I think burning the ult is fine, but maybe a bit of an overcommit to make that happen. But now the pressure that they've lent onto that bot lane does mean they'll be able to pick up that first tower of the game. And considering V5 are the ones to get the Herald, that's kind of crazy.
I was going to say, and look, Rich might be able to get this with the demolish on the top side. We'll just walk away. So you will get the Rift Tower for Karsa. So at least it is trade of tower for tower. Now we'll have to see how this next Rift Tower play is going to work. It feels like it should go into the mid lane, right? I mean, the Stiff Breeze is going to take bot lane down. You can send Rich to try and take that one for yourself on V5. And then just try and conglomerate around this mid lane, get those outer structures down, and try and control now this mid game against LNG.
Well, looks like we do have a bit of a pause here, maybe reminiscent of game number 1, hopefully not. But in the actuality, it feels a lot better for V5. I'm not saying golden goose at this point for game 3, but you're getting that resurgence, you're getting that liveliness, and especially from Rookie in the mid lane. I think the Akali pick, the confidence that they were willing to give him that pick, and now needing to see him kind of perform on it.
Yeah, I think as well it's the fact that, you know, game 1, we saw LNG get off to this early lead, but it was the mid game where we started to see V5 kind of bringing it back, making it a little bit more worrisome. Now you've got a lead for V5, and you're like, well, LNG, how do you try and bring this back in the mid game, right? Like, especially when they're, I imagine it's going to be a mid lane turret take off the next Rift Tower, bot lane turret take coming through from Ridge. Now you're on the back foot. This is where we kind of got to see the growth from LNG to see how they can play from behind in the mid game, because we haven't actually had to see it yet. Not only in this series, but also if you look back at the series we got in playoffs, it was LNG in control for the majority of that series.
Yeah. My one concern for V5 is the fact that it's Zeri Lulu, right? Because you have this super powerful combo. Lulu is such a frustrating champ to play against as things like the Jax and Akali, because of the polymorph, because of the knock build for that peel. So yes, V5 have done what we asked of them, but they need to continue this momentum, because the second you slip up, the second you make a mistake, right? If a dragon is picked up by LNG, or they win a fight, or they get a Baron, that could just be enough to buy time. And then Light, we've seen what he can do this series when he's on one of these hyper carries. Absolute monster in the late game. So V5 really need to make sure they aren't putting a foot wrong in this game.
Yeah, and it comes down to execution. But I love that we've seen Karsa also just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, but I think it's been responded well by Tarzan, right? True. Like, look, this could be a case of what we actually have seen from V5 over the course of this series, where LNG make the play, V5 show up late, they kind of say, oh, darn it, and then they go back to where they're from, right? If you actually end up looking at this, the way this has been operated by LNG is instead Tarzan going, oh, they're going for Rift Herald, let's try and make a play boss. Let's try and make a dive. Let's try and get some kills back in our favor, something to try and even out this trade. And I think that's where we're kind of seeing LNG again, making better steps than we have seen from V5 in the past. It's just a case of if it's enough steps in the right direction, with 1,000 gold lead being the only thing separating these teams.
But I guess the other question is, do you mind V5's composition going into a later game like we've seen, you know, past 30 minutes? Are you saying that, apologies, at least that that V5 can take a late game team fight?
I mean, if they kill Light, definitely. Yeah. But like, I feel like anytime you go in the late game against like Zeri Lulu, when you don't have similar, like you don't have like Siva Yumi to answer, it's such a risk, it's such a flip, because it just needs to be one fight where you don't put all your attention on Light and he's able to carry, and that's just his game.
Yeah, it feels like for V5, a huge amount of their late game fight depends on someone like ppgod, right? Like ppgod's hostile takeover, if you hit like 4 members, 5 members of LNG, well, I mean, then it becomes very quickly to jump onto Light, make it happen, but you do have cleanse, you do have things like the exhaust, you have options to try and deal with that, so it definitely feels easier for LNG, just not completely out of the realm for V5.
Yeah, and we'll have to see as we get a little bit more into it. I'm glad we were able to get back into the game. Seems like there was just a little bit of an issue for Karsa, but right back into it now.
I was so ready for story time.
I know, right? Yeah, we got to go back to the Lord of the Rings. We got to get all of those things. Maybe even watch the trilogy, if you will, in a couple hours.
On Cast Live.
On Cast Live, why not? It's co-streaming.
Yeah, someone stick a timer up there. Tell them where we're at on the video.
But here we are at 17.5 minutes, right? Still a long while for these next objectives, where we've seen consistent fights over objectives, but in this third game, the difference maker has been that V5 have been in place before LNG, where that was much not the case in game 1 and 2.
They've been set up for a while, but also LNG have been pretty respectful. You know, when they know they can't fight these neutrals, they haven't tried to opt in and flounder. And now 2 dragons in place for V5. Yep. The Mountain Soul, super impactful, a lot of bulky targets. He'll benefit from the armor, the MR, and just the shielding. But now they have that Herald in pocket still, and we know they want to throw it down in the mid lane, right? Bot lane tower is gone already. But they try to find the right angle, the right setup, and it looks like they're just trying to brute force it here. Rookie has made a roam from the side lane, and with that numbers advantage, it should be enough to apply this pressure.
I see Doinb backing now. He does have TP. He actually commits it here. Ultra Shock Laser comes across. A lot of damage onto Photic. The tower will not go down, and another tower denied.
I think LNG just doing a good job of stalling, but look, Rich is waiting.
Oh, Photic has to burn the cleanse. Didn't have to burn the flash at least, but they're going back onto Tarzan. Tarzan's just left out. No, he flashes. Rich, that's a huge wild growth from Lumo, and they can turn it around. Rookie gets the kill. Rookie is trying his darnest. Rich gets his own, and nice V5 pouncing on the opportunity.
V5 able to bring that one back just about. We talked about how they really needed 1 or 2 plays to break open this game for them. It feels like that could have been one of those moments. They get the kills, they get that mid tower, and they're taking over Tarzan's jungle.
This is them finally getting some momentum. I felt like LNG did a good job of stalling the tower take with the TP from Doinb, but then just an overstep. They saw confidence, and I feel like Rich hiding the brush made all the difference on this play. So, you know, they've already done what they need to do. LNG should be confident, like, okay, we saved the tower, we don't need to do more. But Tarzan walking to Rich here, and then Rookie, fantastic redirection, sees Tarzan being low, turns around on the target, and then the hostile takeover, connecting on the 3 is so impactful.
Brilliant job from V5, and so much patience from Rich in that bush as well, making sure that Tarzan had overcommitted, because all eyes were on Doinb trying to get onto Photic, trying to pressure the backline for V5, and now to pressure Allah, who's overextended.
Gnar comes out to just push Karsa away, says, no, I don't want you to attack me. And in the end, he does get out of there, but it's still the advantage holistically in V5's favor for the first time in this series, and it's about how they pilot this mid-late game, as we've seen them do so many times before.
Especially with a minute 20 until Dragon. 2 items onto Photic now. Very heavily indexing into that single target damage build with the Gwinsu's Rage Blade already committed. Rookie as well, now nearly getting towards his second item. This is where V5 are kind of hitting these big break points for this next Dragon fight, for that third Dragon, whereas, you know, Light not even halfway to completing his second item. Doinb as well should have the Zhonya's completed, but we'll have to see if that is going to be enough to try and carry a fight against V5.
Yeah, and look, the way V5 want this game to go is they get this next Dragon, 5 minutes later, they get Soul, they get Baron in the mix there, they push the pace forwards, and they end the game. Mountain Soul will make a massive difference and really allow them to flourish in this one, but they really don't want to put a front. When we said that before, they have the lead, they have the items, they have everything they need, but we've seen teams throw from bigger deficits than this, or big advantages than this, so...
Against Zeri, too.
Yeah, I mean, Zeri is problematic. I think everyone is quite aware of that at this point.
Yeah, we got 2 item spikes coming out for the ADs, getting very close to the second item spike for mid laners as well, but specifically looking at Rookie, who has been commanding the mid lane, keeping Doinb in a cage, it feels like, and now that we're getting into this next objective, that lead is helping V5 position in front of it.
I mean, they've got a great spot here. There we
They're
go.
Going in, and now Tarzan, he might just die outright. All those spears in him, and Rookie's going ham. He has to go golden. The at least hostile takeover is going to turn Tarzan around. He doesn't go down just yet, though, and maybe Allah can find a big Gnar. They all flashed because they know it was coming, and Allah had it in his eyes.
And the thing is, they nearly killed Tarzan, but he's so bulky once he pops the ultimate. So many good targets for him. Sejuani the best there, and now LNG feeling confident to push forwards once more. V5 already on the Dragon, though.
Tarzan has no health. They're TPing in now as well for Allah, but I don't know if they can do this. They're going to pack off.
The thing is, V5 are very ultimate reliant when you look at like ppgod, when you look at Rookie. So that's why LNG considering moving forward, but they will just be happy to go towards the Dragon, towards the tower. Third Dragon for LNG, and I mean, are LNG just going to try and bait?
Oh my God, V5 are just going to TP behind here. Rookie looking for the big outplay. They're trying to catch LNG on the backside of the retreat here. Rookie all by himself, though, and needs to be very, very careful. Does have the Shroud to get out of this one, but Light is peppering the damage.
And you can see they're trying to push the pace forwards. They're looking for angles in. The TP comes through, but they aren't able to connect on the right targets. And for all V5's attempts, the goal lead is, you know, it's still moderate, but the kill lead, they haven't been able to secure what they wanted out of this game.
Yeah, still though, third dragon going to be massive for them, right? Adding that in is going to make it very difficult, especially if V5 can get that soul for LNG to really find the mark in this. You're still waiting on the third item for the Zeri. Doesn't look like that's going to be coming in time for that next dragon. And overall, when we look at this game pace so far, it still feels like V5 will kind of be hitting their stride stronger at that next dragon.
I will say one thing with Mountain Soul, though, is Zeri steals shields when she deals damage.
True.
So I feel like most scenarios, Mountain Soul is just consistently such a good soul because everyone benefits from that shield. But Zeri, who also happens to be just broken, also basically just steals your mountain shields from you and becomes even harder to kill.
It's like that, you know, the meme, it's like, I made this, and it's them holding Mountain Soul, and then they hand it over to Zeri, and she's like,
It's just handing it
I
on
made
up.
this.
But it's not like, you know, Zeri gets any extra buffs from having a shield, like movement speed. You're like, oh, wait, you know.
Oh.
Do you want the soapbox there? Do you want to just
Yeah,
go
no,
for
at this point, there's some problems
We
that
got
you
some
maybe
time.
need to
I
work out.
can express.
We
hate
need a
Zeri.
League of Legends therapist here, but it is something to keep an eye out for Light. And we've seen Light performing in 2 games already, being the carry, at least for LNG in the later parts. And as we get to that 24-minute mark, when we get to these big fights, you know, 3 minutes for the next dragon, that soul is so crucial for V5. And LNG just need to kind of buy time.
Yeah, it's just, it feels so difficult for LNG now to try and keep control over the map. Rich moving in on this bot side. He has the Frozen Heart and should be in a good spot to kind of go toe-to-toe against Allah. You're looking at Karsa as well, just with how beefy this Sejuani is. You can see Brute forcing his way in onto LNG because, well, without Tarzan there, or at least Tarzan in the position to kind of match that, they don't have someone tanky enough to just be able to match just how much pressure there is from V5.
And I do also like to point out, okay, I guess V5 would just start up the bear. They say, Doinb, you started it up. Let's go ahead and finish it now. We'll see if LNG can get in there, but really it could just be a bait.
You gotta remember, it's not a straight 50-50. They have the Kalista to help secure this. Tarzan does have flash, though. LNG are trying to look to try and get on this fight.
Rich, he's separating now. You get a TP from Allah into the back of the pit. It looks like on the run, RV5, they realize the bait is not working this time around.
But they got the TP. V5 got the TP out of All, and that's all really you want to get out of this play, right? They're going to be able to reset, heal up, but now Rich is going to be so much more of a threat in the side lane because of that teleport advantage. So they gain something. Sure, they don't get the Baron or a kill, but they get to tick some boxes.
Especially when they can move him up towards this top side. Minute and a half until that Mountain Soul is up and available. You're going to see Rich kind of hovering around that area of the map. He pushes in top side. Allah has to match him. Doinb has to match him. And suddenly you're getting those TP advantages that you really want for V5's side of the equation. So really nice job from V5 kind of pushing the envelope there, forcing LNG to make these tough decisions.
And speaking of pushing the envelope, Photic having completed his 3rd item now with that Runans, that team fight damage, the Rens are going to start stacking up all that more onto multiple members. And you've got to keep an eye on that in the team fight.
Zeri just isn't there yet, right? You're foregoing the Infinity Edge because you need the LDR, because with the Mountain Dragon as well, but also these bulky targets, these frontline on V5, Zeri's not going to be able to cut through without the LDR, but that means your IE is going to come 4th item. You have to fight this dragon, but you're not quite at the spike you want.
And the thing is, Doinb doesn't have something like, you know, the Kennen ult that we had, or something along those lines, that big game-defining ultimate that's on V5's side. Yes, he can steal away things like the perfect execution, make himself tankier with the Grandmaster's might, but there's nothing that's really going to make or break.
He's going in. He's got the hostile takeover there. Is he going to get a chance to use it? He uses it on the left side of the fight. He's trying to sustain. He goes golden now. The hostile takeover from ppgod was huge as well, and the lightning crash might not be enough. Light is trying to put in some damage as well. Allah stacking up the Mega Gnar. He wants to get a big Mega Gnar into the wall, and it's LNG that are tooling out the fight. Photic is on the edge. He has all those spears into Allah, but V5 have to run away, and this is right before the dragon fight.
Yeah, LNG trying to run them down, but a man down V5. I don't think you can fight this.
They're trying to. Doinb was ready to follow up. The Tarzan pillar could have been right around the corner. Does Karsa stick around to try to steal the dragon?
I mean, he kind of has to, right? It feels like if he dies, though, Baron could be on the cards. Doinb going to try and play takeaway, but no, the dragon, it's out of the equation.
Oh.
LNG have managed to hold steady. Split decisions in the fight from V5, costing them dearly.
Yet they buy themselves 5 minutes, and I think ultimately the mistake here was committing into this choke point, because initially Doinb overextends, they're starting to get some damage down, but especially with the Mountain Soul map, that extra bit of terrain just means it's easy for Zeri to fire off those Ultra Shock lasers, and it's so hard to move through without eating everything for the side of LNG.
And they have to realize that Ala was on the side, right? That is what caused a lot of the discomfort from V5 because he's stacking up the Mega Gnar. He can get a huge ulti into the wall.
And that's the thing, everyone in V5 committed for Ala, but without that counter-strike hitting, you don't get the stun, you don't get the kill, and suddenly you're caught between no man's land with the rest of LNG now starting to follow up. So LNG, as I said, by 5 minutes, but crucially complete the LDR for Light. Now he can go towards the Infinity Edge. You're starting to get the top side of the map going well with Ala starting to become a serious damage threat, especially when he's foregoing any sort of tanky stats. He's just going for this more damage-oriented build.
Yeah, that's all I love.
I feel like one of the things with Gnar is people obviously know the impact of the Mega Gnar, but like with Triforce and Black Cleaver, you get movement speed from both when you hit targets. In Mini Gnar, you can just run people down and do so much work, and you're bulky enough that they can't really answer back one-for-one with the autos. And Photic has picked up a Kindle gem. I think he's going for something like a Randuin's, going for a defensive option so you can be a bit bulkier, as he is quite short range, but you are just going to get eclipsed by the Zeri. You've hit your spikes, and you can see V5, no, time is not on their side. They're going to try start up the Baron, but Tarzan has flash and is over the wall.
They have to force the issue, but if Tarzan gets the turnaround, that would be huge. They do not have either of, okay, they're TPing in now with Rookie, at least already here, and trying to get him in there. Oh no, there's hostile takeover over the back. That's the Baron taken by V5, but a TP from Ala to come join the fight as well. Rich actually coming in on the side. Glacial Prison will not connect there in the end. And stolen from Doinb. Want to see if they go back in. The handshake on the Tarzan here. It is such a back and forth fight, but Light is stacking up. Ala is stacking up, and a nice abduct hits. That will be the Fate's call from Photic to get ppgod out of harm's way.
I mean, they got away, they got the Baron, they got out. That's everything V5 wanted. Looked a little bit touch and go at times, but LNG weren't able to commit, weren't able to trap them in the pit. And V5, when we said time was ticking, find an advantage.
Just about able to eke that one out. It, as you say, looked very touch and go. I wasn't sure that like LNG weren't just going to fully commit, pull the trigger, see if they could find the advantage that they wanted to. But now with this Baron up creep waves, they can actually start to get so much more on the map.
And honestly, I think one of the things was that Ale, he saw Rich TP in front of him and was like, I'm going to do as much damage as possible. But then with the hostile takeover, with the counter-strike, they couldn't actually kill Rich immediately. And all it meant was Ale was late to the play.
And that's a tier 2 tower going down to V5. Their Baron advantage here, helping them to break down the base of LNG. Don't think they'll be able to get all that much further as Tarzan's coming around the corner here. Rookie finds himself in the top side of the map here, and it will be V5 transitioning over there, trying to get this tier 2 tower.
ppgod looking a little bit suspect there. Does have the ultimate just back up and available now, but I mean, V5, they're just bouncing between these waves. Pushing topside here. Now they get the push underneath the tower. TP to the Canyon minion to make sure that one stays alive. It's so hard for LNG to defend, especially look at the mid lane. Rishi's just whacking away at the base.
Yeah, he's working on an inhib tower, which is actually crazy.
Yeah, doing such a good job of using these waves, leaning between them to apply this pressure. And LNG are just struggling to find answers. I expect that even though there's a lot of Baron left, Dragon's up at a minute 10, so we'll probably see V5 start to move the pressure down there.
Oh,
Rich being engaged
does have the counter-strike there, and the rest of V5 are on their way down. Tarzan getting a lot of spears put into him here. Doinb has the hostile takeover. It's double hostile takeovers at this point. The Rend is still available there, but won't be able to pull the spears out in the end, but V5 stop LNG's advantage.
But they hold on to the base for that little bit longer. 40 seconds left. If you can try and clear out these waves, you won't get another round for V5, so they hold the mid inhibitor. They're holding top inhibitor tower. Like, this is actually good for LNG if they can stop this push.
Oh my god, Rich. You might be in some trouble there. That's a very strong Gnar. He gets the Mega Gnar! Oh, he gets another solo bolo!
And that's huge. Dragon is in 30 seconds. Rich makes a critical error that might cost V5 everything.
And that's the second time in a row. That's the second Dragon in a row we've seen this happen for V5.
It's just the Olodiff in this series. He has been all over Rich, and now at the most crucial point of Game 3, it could be the straw that breaks the camel's back for V5.
They have 25 seconds on Rich. His TP's nearly up. They need to buy time, but the fight's starting.
Karsa might be in some trouble here. Glacial Prison out by Doinb. They try to get the catch out there, but they can't do it just yet. Rookie is still positioning around, but LNG are first into the pit, first into the fight, and here comes the setup. They are going to try to get the TP from Rich in time, but I don't know if they can get it. The Dragon going so low. Karsa's in the pit. Who's going to get the Dragon? Is it going to be Soul? No! Tarzan gets the denial there. Rookie caught out by himself, and LNG find it again. No! Rich is coming in now a little bit late. He needs to get out of the fight. He counter-strikes back. V5 are trying to support him, trying to get him out of the pit, but Allah's on the side here. Doesn't have Gnar just yet, but he has the damage. ppgod gets walloped, and now the Fate's Call comes out, but they have left the rest of V5 all by themselves. The counter-strike won't save you today, Rich, and LNG are coming in with a force.
Karsa's not safe, he's still at bay. LNG are chasing down V5, and just like that, with 4 versus 5, LNG, they find the fight. They're pushing towards that late game, and these bounties are still available for LNG to grab.
A critical error at the worst time. V5 on the cusp of being eliminated from World's contention, and Rich ends up making a mistake that cost them so much. LNG, they got the Dragon, they're backing off now, but they got so much from that play.
1 and 4 on the counter pick. Rich has not been able to hit what V5 need from, and you see it here with the Dragon going low. Tarzan manages to steal. Rookie dives into the backline, but we already kind of talked about the exhaust being available. This Lulu has been so good at keeping Rookie at bay. He gets nothing, and then the chase down can start from LNG.
And I feel like we're getting to the point where Zeri has hit critical mass. 2 Dragons buys 10 minutes before the Soul. And the fact that V5 still don't have it, the fact the game's still going is becoming such a massive issue. LNG is starting to feel confident and are on the cusp of taking this series.
That's the biggest thing, that V5 were willing to take this composition into LNG, but it's not working out for them. And now Karsa, you cannot get caught out yet again. The rest of V5 are coming in, but he's already dead. The hostile takeover, Photic, is trying to put on the carry pants, but now Rich is in some trouble here, and LNG are surging forward in these fights.
Rookie off on the side, trying to see if he can get back in here, but LNG, they're feeling it. 30 seconds on Baron, but they're just going to try and push down mid. The tank for V5 is dead, and LNG, this miracle run, I mean, this story is just too strong.
The drop of the hat, just all of a sudden LNG finding these picks right before the Dragons, buying themselves time, playing into their compositional strengths here, and now they're pinging back towards the Baron that spawns in 5 seconds.
Karsa's still dead, no flash on Photic, no ult on ppgod. I don't think there's any way they can contest it, but I think they have to try.
And that's the thing, Doinb has ppgod's ultimate. You come through these chokes, you're running directly into that hostile takeover. Baron goes, Rookie out, V5. They might have just thrown this game away, stopped themselves from starting that first step on the reverse sweep.
And I'm just going to say, it's getting to the point, even if V5 secured the Soul, I'm not sure it's enough, right? Look at Light's items. 4 completed, Infinity Edge now in pocket, has a stopwatch, has sums, has Luma. Even if they somehow steal the Dragon or manage to get it, I'm just not sure it's enough this late in the game.
And look, I know it's not ideal, but as you say, look, Light steals away the shield. Tarzan steals away the resistances. So you end up with a tankier Tarzan every time you get these dragons as well. Like, they're not obviously ideal to give across the Soul, but I agree with Ox. It just feels like right now, with how strong LNG are, I don't know what V5 are supposed to do. How do you even defend your base here? Like, this composition has 0 wave clear.
Can I just throw some huge props to Allah? We get to see the hostile takeover used by Doinb in the mid lane, but Allah, man, through thick and thin, through every down, through every up for LNG, it's been him trying to resurge himself, trying to bring power to his name, and we've seen him on the precipice so many times and making games happen, making moments happen for himself, and now he's 5-0, this damage-centric Gnar, and it has been a difference maker.
He's just been absolutely massive, but V5, they're posturing. TP's going to come in, they're coming in for the play, but look at the flank angle.
Oh, he immediately starts backing. He's not going to go for the flank here. He is on a ward, though, and they might want to go back around. They're actually more focused on the inhib tower here, as that would be a big boon for them as pressure in the top side.
I feel like they have to make the fight happen now. If they lose too much of the base, it's going to be a disaster.
This is not good for Karsa. He needs to be careful. Hostile takeover from ppgod gets them out, but look how much Light is doing right now. That will be the Fate's call coming through from Photic. They could just look at the end of the game. No way that this is how it ends. Allah with the big Gnar ulti. That's 1 Nexus tower down, but V5 do not want to go silently into the night. Rookie is there, but it's not enough. The ceiling is so high for LNG. LNG. Look at Light. He is completely untouched in the background. We'll see if those health bars for V5 can do the difference. Rich getting denied there.
Wait.
Light is still alive. The bailout comes through from ppgod, but Light is pulling it apart. Light is making it happen one step at a time.
Light will once more stand tall for LNG in the face of everyone on V5 chasing him down. The bot lane for LNG will not be denied. They won't be able to take the win. The TP is coming in behind them. Dragon is available. Rookie with the perfect execution may do just that.
Is it enough though?
Lumao and Light here. They're not enough health bar on the side of Lumao, and that is an Akali. So no matter how strong Zeri is, this is going to be a spicy predicament for Light as he tries to get out of there. He does not. 1,000 gold shutdown to Rookie.
Oh my god, Light was massive in that fight, really pulling the weight for LNG. V5 found the initial advantage, but it wasn't enough, but then Rookie comes in to clean up. They are trying to get the Dragon, but Tarzan's heading over. Base is in shambles. They're not out of this mess yet. Yeah, they're gonna have to back off.
There's 2 super minions.
There's no TPs for LNG though, so someone has to try and hold on to the base. We've already got Photic who's there. That's why V5 have to back away. Doinb en route. Allah is here. Allah has flash for the Gnar ult. Keep your eyes on the top laner.
It's so huge right now. They will not have Rich, no TP, as you said. It is all about this. The hostile takeover trying to buy some time, but it's back both ways. Now Allah has the Mega Gnar available, has the ulti, and the pit is looking mighty juicy here, but it's LNG that back away, giving the Mountain Soul to V5.
They managed to get the soul. Yeah, they get the soul. The game isn't over, although it's pretty close with just one Nexus tower left. But V5 hold on. They refuse to be knocked out. But it definitely doesn't put them in a good position. But the game is still going. We're going to see the replay. So initially a bit of a slow start, but we see a lot of damage going down to Karsa. The Sejuani does not feel that tanky.
Yeah, I mean, Karsa able to back away. Huge amount of thing going on to ppgod as well, who backs away. And this is where the defender's advantage comes into play. The fact you get to reset, get those health bars back after LNG have already committed a huge amount of those resources. Rookie as well, playing such a big distraction in the back line means that you can get consistent damage from Photic.
Yeah, the AoE from that rune and starting to get some value there, but the problem is so much has been committed to being to the front lines. V5 were using the health bars as a resource, and they just didn't have any gas in the tank for Light when he started to step up.
Oh god.
Yeah, he is so monstrously strong. I mean, V5 did everything they could, but this Zeri is still such a pertinent issue.
And we are well into the late game now. Full build for Light. Doinb pushing full build. Allah already there as well. This is where you're going to see, again, V5 continue to struggle. The Mountain Soul is great, but, you know, Photic is not going to be able to match Light's damage. Rookie can't bring what Doinb does to the table. And Rich and Allah in these team fights, I mean, I'm giving it to Allah every day of the week with how he's playing.
Oh, 100%. But on top of that, even you can see how even Tarzan picking up the redemption on the Trundle, knowing he is just a pillar bot, he is just a beefcake right now. It's all about Light being that carry. If he survives, he can 1v9.
The stress is starting to pile on to V5. There is a few decisions left in this game that will deny them any further redemption in the summer split.
Doinb and Tarzan wanting to go up against RNG, wanting to get back towards Worlds 2021. Rookie now behind. Can he make the hero play to once more go forward and try and find his fight against Faker? But V5 starting to push back. LNG crawling in towards the barn that has just spawned.
Yeah, V5. Oh, they're going for the
going for the catch out. Look at Rookie doing so much damage to Tarzan. That's a big hostile takeover as well. The health bar's looking good. Oh! Into the wall! It's all yet again! But what about the fight after? The face call is huge, and Rookie, he's putting on the carry pants here. LNG, they get the big Gnar ulti, but it did not matter.
Just when it looked like Ole was making this series-winning play,
Wait, look
we
at the base.
see the
They're going to the base.
They're going to the back door. Rich has his to answer. Rookies is nearly up, but it might not be inside. No, they should be able to prevent this. Rich should be able to defend.
This is so back and forth. Mega Gnar is almost there for Allah. Mega Gnar is there. He has the damage down, but look at the top side of the map. Allah needs to get out of there. Rookie is coming down too. There is such a contested fight. Light does not make it out. That's the GA popped, and it's V5 42 minutes in that find the ace.
It looked like that fight was doomed for V5. The huge Mega Gnar, but the critical point was ppgod on the Renata, throwing himself in to get the triple knockup, and then Rookie with the perfect execution on top. Clutching it out when everything seemed doomed. V5 still have some fight left in them.
How do they manage it when the chips are down? A single play turns this around, because as you say, Ola, fantastic Gnar ultimate coming through, all 5 members. But as you say, Rich getting a good counter strike, then going into triple knockup, setting up for Rookie the AoE from this Kalista. And V5, they pull it out of the bag by some miracle.
They just want to fight against full build Zeri Lulu when they already carries a Kalista. Such good execution. You can definitely see how it's hard for V5, but they are doing everything in their power to keep this one going. Baron now in pocket, but with the base still in a messy position, not sure they can get too much value. And I'm looking at the top left of our screens, 1:40 until the
Oh my God, look at that damage. If you need a carry, you look for Rookie.
You know,
I mean, that's all I'm saying.
We thought Zeri was really broken. It looks like Rookie is just more imbalanced.
And this is the thing. This isn't even to get to Worlds. This is to get another chance at getting to Worlds. These two teams still have to face up against RNG, but you can see that they are throwing everything in the kitchen sink. Ala with one of the greatest Gnar ultimates that he could have possibly pulled off, but Rookie and ppgod turning it back around, giving the opportunity for V5 to now try and claw back this game 3. TP now into the bottom side. Rich is pushing with the Baron buff in mid lane. LNG are being spread around the map.
And there's no way for Doinb to try to make a crazy play into the base of V5. The TP is available, but no wards there. And now they just have to focus on defending at this moment. And this is a strength of V5. We said mid to late game, their decision-making has always been so crucial, and it's working out.
A big thing is they're pushing on the bot side of the map, right? Not only do they start to threaten these structures, but they're keeping away from LNG having set up on the Elder, spawning at 40. They don't want them to have any vision in the area. There is still that ward a little bit behind you can see on the mini-map, but that's all they really have. They're going to sweep through and try and deny vision as much as possible.
They've done it once. Can V5 do it again? They need that same miracle play. They need to dig deep and find out. It looks like it'll be plays from Rookie, plays from ppgod once more to bring that in their favor.
Rookie did 10k damage in the last fight, but he didn't have a Rabadons, and he now does. That is the final hat just to finish things off. And now LNG,
2 rods in a hat.
2 rods in the hat. Now pushing up mid, V5 are posturing for the fight.
Yeah, see LNG a little bit out of place here, maybe looking to use that Doinb at least hostile takeover. They're pushing forward though, trying to force V5's hand at this point, and now everything available for both sides. It is so neck and neck.
The LNG know they can just run down the middle. They know there's only that Nexus tower left, which is why V5 needs to go.
You gotta watch out. He has the Mega Gnar there. The hostile taker from Doinb isn't up. There you go, 2-man hostile as well from ppgod. You get a little bit of front to back here. Light is in some trouble. He's got
Lights down.
Lights down, and V5 have done it yet again. They find the fight, they find the win, and they could just end the game.
It's a 5-0 against impossible odds. 2-0 down to LNG, and V5 make miracles happen.
How the hell do V5 bring this back? LNG, the script looked too strong in game 3. They hold off to the late game, and V5 say, that's where we come alive. And V5, they're starting the reverse sweep with 1 game now.
How many times have we seen this story repeated in the LPL playoffs? The reverse sweep is alive and well, and V5 are alive and well. They will win their first game in this best of 5, and they will not be eliminated just yet.
Just sheer refusal to lose. That's what that was. And that man on your screen, Rookie, with such a carry performance. Don't get me wrong, V5 all stepped up in those fights, but he showed why we hold him in such high regard.
I have seen teams be stubborn, but my God, I have never seen it to that level. The fact that V5, with the composition that they have, are able to bring that back is absolutely insane. They had no right to be able to deal that much damage that late in the game.
And all I'm going to say is I'm so sad that one of these teams won't go to Worlds.
I know!
Man, they both put on such a display there.
Oh man,
It's
that was such a fun game to watch, especially because LNG
Fun.
was so
That was
close.
stressful.
I loved it. I'm here for it, man.
Years of
All
my
I'm
life
saying
are now off.
Hey, all I'm saying is, what do we have on our hands now? It's a series, all right? Because
A
in all
banger.
actuality,
For sure.
it is nothing but bangers in the LPL, and the fact that they are just so unwilling to go quietly, right? For V5, Rookie having to step up in that moment, even Karsa in the early game, so monumental, and all with his advantage. Rich was able to outpilot him in a lot of those fights as well in the end.
Yeah, I got to say, I think big props to ppgod. Again, we said
Yeah.
a huge amount of this was going to rest on him with the hostile takeovers. Him with those Kalista knockups were absolutely insane. That last fight just outside of Baron was nuts.
I just feel like, you know, when you're playing someone like Alistair, Leona, and you get thrown in, it's like, yeah, no brainer. But like, he's playing Renata, and he's like, yeah, throw me in, I'll make it happen.
Could it be any other way for ppgod?
Oh, he's got to be got move. Yeah, 100%.
But it does make sense, right? I mean, it worked. It's set up for Rookie. The fact
did.
you're hitting 3 different members, so he ends up with this great, perfect execution, front to back, getting a ton of damage off. We saw him be the highest damage dealer in that fight. I mean, this is what we expected from V5. This is why they have that 50% win rate from behind, because they just refuse to go down without fighting.
I think it's so important to keep an eye on in the rest of the series as well. And the fact that it did feel a little bit desperate from LNG in those last moments. They could see the base was literally cracked wide open. They were so close to finishing the series with 3-0. And the mental break is a little bit questionable.
I feel like you have Light, who's been so strong in this series. He's full build on Zeri with a Lulu to back him up. I feel like you should have just... They've all been thinking, this game's ours. This game's over. We had this, but they weren't able to bring it over. And, you know...
The damage to gold.
How much gold is it? I was going to say,
God.
that is so
Kinda
high. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that really get that close to 300%.
I think the only one I've seen that close was the Jackulov game, the 92k.
Oh,
Yeah.
But most of these other ones is just like, he did an insane job, but it just wasn't enough. And you could see V5 knew if they take him down, if they take down Light, that is enough. But it was very touch and go, very close
It really was.
in that game.
It's incredible stuff to see. At least we have the continuation of the series where both teams are on the brink of elimination, still needing to win one more best of 5 after this against RNG to even make it to Worlds. But we're getting such a battle here in the lower bracket of regional qualifiers.
Yeah, I just don't know what way this one's going to go. Now, we've kind of seen V5 go for the early game that then turned out to be a stronger late game by somehow. And now we've got to try and see if they're going to be able to do it again, because that was bonkers. That's the only word I have for this.
I'm so excited to see how Game 4 goes. We do have a little break and then sending over to Analyst Desk to try and break down that game. Good luck, guys.